Good evening, everybody. This is Billy HL. As you know, I am going to be leaving the channel by the end of the year. And so, yeah. Unfortunately, this October, I did not have time to prepare a proper Halloween video, but hopefully this will be a decent substitute. This will be a very different kind of video, sort of podcasty, based on an original approach me and Trevor wanted to do, where we were going to talk about another top 10 rejected videos, where we would kind of split 50-50 on our personal picks, including my videos that didn't end up getting made. But I thought, hey, since I'm going to be gone soon, I might as well tell you guys all the rejected videos of mine, and all possibly themed to Halloween. So, hey, it kind of works. So, and I do apologize too, this is kind of going the route of Trevor's old top 20 favorite movies list, where it's mostly just still imagery. Actually, no, it's all still imagery, because again, I'm going for a more sort of podcast approach. This is my time to shine before I have to leave for good. Anyway, let's get to it. Here is another top 10 rejected Media Mementos videos. So first off, number 10, this one was actually written and actually recorded, Stage Fright. This is an animated short from Aardman Animations, and if you remember, I did a Flushed Away video, and I wanted that to be sort of the start of more Aardman-based content, and I wanted to do Stage Fright way soon after Flushed Away, I think around April, possibly. Simply put, there just wasn't room in the schedule for it. I wasn't really motivated to do it, and even though I had it fully written, I had it fully recorded, I simply just wasn't happy with it. It was a little bit too surface level. It was mostly just a synopsis with sort of vain, compliments to the film, like, oh, it's good, oh, it's dark. It was a little boring, and I love the short, don't get me wrong, but I really didn't do it justice, and honestly, I didn't think you guys really deserved to see that, so I was like, I just kind of quietly shelved it, despite really wanting to do it. And I could have done it for Halloween as well, because it's, a psychological thriller film, but, again, I didn't really end up doing that, unfortunately. It broke my heart, too. So yeah, Stage Fright. Number 9, Scared Shrekless. Yeah, I know Shrekless already talked about this too, but let's face it, I did Shrek 4 as well. So, okay. There's a whole bunch of Shrek videos that you're never going to see, but keeping with the theme, I guess I can just bump in a lot of the other Shrek videos here too. I wanted to do everything you need to know about Shrek. I wanted to do a character quest on Lord Farquaad, King Harold. I think Trevor's still going to do his character quest on Prince Charming. I might help him with that a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Scared Shrekless. This one, I am not a fan. It's just this sort of generic The Treehouse of Horror wannabe, and even more basic are the parodies, and all the visual references are just a little weak. I know Shrek, it's his iconography in these movies with the pop culture references are the more subtle visual nods, which, to be fair, that goes for a lot of movies. Have you seen Darkman? That steals a lot from RoboCop, for instance. But with Scared Shrekless, it's just kind of, oh, yeah, alright, all psycho? Aren't we cool? That ending in The Exorcist where, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a very messed up finale, and they actually referenced that hardcore in Scared Shrekless with the Shrexorcist sketch. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you know what? This damn thing solidified Shrek's meme status, especially with all these Shrek-related, puns and censorship words. It's stupid. So if you want to blame Shrek the Third, no, blame this. Blame this. This was the end of the line. This is what caused Shrek's immortal meme status. And since then, he has failed to be taken seriously as of late. Number 8, Bump in the Night. Okay, this one I was fully prepped to do. I really wanted to do this month, actually. I was originally going to do it next year, But when I was about to leave, I was like, oh, I just want to do this one right away. But this one, scheduling. Definitely scheduling. I hated the fact that I couldn't do it because of scheduling. And because of that, I really was just disappointed in myself because I was very excited to talk about one of my favorite childhood shows. And not in a way where it's like, whoa, remember the old show? Yeah, no, I really wanted to do this. And one of my favorite channels, Screaming Soup, actually talked about Bump in the Night many years ago. And I wanted to have my own take on a review that would sort of be more in-depth, kind of have a similar approach. I'm just kind of talking about the basic concept of the show, but also, like, how cool it was that it is basically, like, kind of a childhood fever dream of combining toys coming to life at night with monsters lurking around. It's almost like, well, this was like a year after Toy Story, and it was well before Monsters, Inc., so you can kind of consider this sort of like the adolescent period of, like, just those sort of childhood phenomena movies. I mean, this was a show, but whatever. I love the stop motion, too, and this was one of the things that really got me into that medium, and also just, like, dark aesthetics, even though this one is definitely more goofy compared to the likes of, say, Nightmare Before Christmas, even though Nightmare Before Christmas is still pretty goofy in itself, but Bump in the Night was, like, way goofy. But, I don't know, I love, like, kind of campy, sort of dark stuff, so it definitely ignited that. And I love the characters too. I really was going to just go crazy talking about it, especially Molly, the comfort doll. God damn, her character and, like, the themes she goes through, it's just, damn, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But this video's not for that. Sorry, guys. Number 7. Real Monsters. Now this one, oh boy, I had this one planned for about a year. And then when it came time to do it, most boring damn thing I've ever made in my life. I tried recording this, and all it was just me going, oh yeah, this was great. This did pretty well on Nickelodeon. I liked the characters. Crumb holds his eyeballs. Like, it was that. Like, that clickbait nonsense. I was not a fan of that. I was not happy. So I just shelved it, like, immediately once I began recording. I was so bummed because I was really excited to do that because I love Real Monsters. Again, like Bump in the Night, it was one of those shows that really ignited my interest in sort of, like, the dark and creepy aesthetics and everything like that, especially the campy stuff. Like, it was so fun. And you can also sort of say Real Monsters has sort of played an influence in how I draw my characters. Sort of. I'm more someone who's, like, influenced by, like Margaret Keane or Ed Big Daddy Roth, but I mean, Real Monsters definitely had a good impact on that. So I wanted to do a video for it, but I don't know. It just felt too much like a Jordan Fringe or whatever the hell the other people are. I don't really watch review channels that much. It's funny. I co-own a well, not anymore after December 31st, but yeah, whatever. Number 6, Child's Play, Roller Coaster Quality. This was actually, if you were a subscriber to the Patreon, you might have seen this in the huge list, and you never picked it. So I'm a big fan of Child's Play. Yeah, I know it's a little cliche, but I don't know. I love Chucky. I love the movies. Well, half of them. See, that's the thing. Child's Play. Oi. So, okay, let's just be real and just. The first one, really good. Second one, also really good. I kind of have a struggle to pick which one is my favorite of those two. Child's Play 3, horrible. Adds nothing new to the franchise at that point. It's just fully goofy, but it's still trying to take itself seriously? I don't know what it's trying to do. And the whole vibe really just screams like military school comedy. And they just threw in Chucky in there just to sell tickets. It feels like that. And the fact that they made this film in less than a year, like right after Child's Play 2, with that ridiculous time jump to where Andy's like a teenager, just to appeal to the kids, yeah, I don't know. And then Bride of Chucky was, I mean, I think it's great. I love the humor, I love the atmosphere, I love like all the iconography of like the sort of gothic monster tropes, but also with all the new sort of punkish vibes in the 90s. I guess you could say it kind of dates the film in a way, but it's more of a time capsule than anything else. Even if it might feel dated, I still love just the whole energy of it. And then Seed of Chucky happened, and that was, oi. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The film just straight up full on went for comedy. The cinematography just screamed direct to DVD. It's almost as bad as Rob Zombie's The Munsters like film this year. Like if you've seen that, it's almost as bad as that. But hey, we got Glenda, gender fluid character. So, I mean, bonus points for that, I guess. But other than that, it doesn't really have anything else going for it other than just shameless, just shoddy comedy. And then Curse of Chucky was great. And then Cult of Chucky not so good. Then they made that reboot, even though Cult of Chucky had come out not too recently and they were going to make a new TV show. And then TV show, season 1, really good. See the problem? Like, the freaking franchise just can never keep consistency. And I don't like it. I really don't, especially, and as a fan, like, I hate inconsistency. I just want all the films to be at least watchable. And if I have to, like, just tell people, watch this, don't watch that and that, and I hate doing that. And I hate it when, like, people have to ask me about this crap, too. Like, And I wanted to sort of describe that frustration with this one, but it just never really seemed to happen. I guess it just wasn't meant to happen. I don't know. Speaking of that, number 5, every Nightmare on Elm Street movie reviewed. Yes, I was going to go crazy and just talk about all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Now, I'm not going to do that here, not even with summaries. I'll just do it right now. First, pretty good. Second, really good. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, Power Glove, it's funny. New Nightmare, very surprising. Freddy vs. Jason, very disappointing. And the remake, it's fine. Yeah. There you go, I'm sorry. You don't want more detail? Well, too bad. I'm not going to make the video. Yeah, this was actually also intended to be one of my bigger Halloween videos, but it simply got too big. Like, about 2 hours, maybe 3, worth of writing and research and review and analysis. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. And especially because the Halloween videos typically didn't do well for me, especially when I talked about live action last year. No, I was not gonna risk that. Even if a popular name as Nightmare on Elm Street, I just don't think it was gonna do well on the channel. I mean, even when I talked about big names like Donkey Kong, it didn't do well at all. Like, ugh. It was not fun. And I didn't want, like, something that I really love, like horror, to just do horribly on the channel because nobody was watching it. So I didn't want to take that risk and just talk about something that I genuinely loved and was passionate about, only for people to just kind of willingly ignore what I was doing. And that's why I'm not really happy with a lot of the Halloween turnarounds of last year, and that's kind of why I sort of resented this month as well. Number 4, Mockingbird Don't Sing. This one I have never even told Trevor about, so yeah, if you're wondering what is this movie? Well, it's a biopic that very obviously parallels the real life psychological case of Jeannie Wiley. Now, Jeannie is not the real name of the girl involved. I am not, to my knowledge, we don't really know her real name. People call her Susan as her real name, but the horrible pseudonym is unfortunately like the closest we got to like a name for her, with the social workers that were studying her at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. And furthermore, Jeannie was a subject of abuse for about like 13 and a half years, pretty much her whole life, trapped indoors, psychologically tormented by her dad, and her mother, who was blind, didn't really do anything to help at all, just kind of endured all of it. And eventually disturbed social workers just caught up and promptly arrested the parents, and Jeannie wound up at the hospital, like I said. She actually grew a bond with one of the other workers there, and one of the few that actually saw the humanity in Jeannie, and formed like some decent progress. Even though Jeannie was definitely missed that critical period in learning basic communication skills, and although her motor skills surprisingly improved, and she actually became very well versed with sign language, which I didn't even know about until I saw the film. I don't know if how much there is truth to that, but I don't know. It's a long story. I'm not going to go into all the rest of the details, but I was going to do that with this review of Mockingbird Don't Sing as a response to my recent discovery of this case and how much it resonated with me on a personal level. Simply put, this was way too niche and way too out of norm for what you guys wanted to watch, especially given its ties to not really criminal psychology, but a child psychology. And it's not something you guys really want to see. And I kind of knew that already, like when I was writing this out. So even though as much as I really wanted to do that, I didn't want to alienate people and have an immediate failure on the channel for something that I really just felt strongly about. Like with Nightmare on Elm Street, like I didn't want to risk like doing something I loved only for very few people to watch it. Trevor he had that sort of mindset when he was doing VTA, and then started these review videos and no one was watching them. So it's kind of like a sort of similar situation, but not to his extreme, of course, but I don't know. But instead of doing the Mockingbird Don't Sing video review, I might still do a review of it on my personal channel. Overall, I don't think I'll be able to do the elaborate video I wanted, and instead I sort of just used the Jeannie Wiley case study as inspiration for my own short film, which I plan to shoot in January, once I officially leave Media Mementos, so be on the lookout for that. Number 3, Van Helsing. This was also supposed to be this month. Like Jeannie Wiley, I couldn't do it because I didn't want to risk failure. And despite all the research already being done, and I don't even know if that many people have really talked about the film's failure in the way that I wanted to talk about it, where it's like a classic example of a franchise trying to get off the ground, but right away it just shot itself in the foot before release. Overhyped so much in the marketing, and then not many people ended up watching it. And then as a result, like Universal had to switch gears for what they were going to do for the Universal monsters for years to come. They had one more Mummy movie after that, and then dormancy. Then we're like, oh, let's do the Wolfman 2010, and that didn't do well at all because of poor marketing and a bunch of shifts with directors and composers, and just it was a nightmare production. And then Dracula Untold happened. You remember Dracula Untold? That other attempt of an action-based Universal monster universe, whatever. Yeah. And then The Mummy with Tom Cruise. Why? It was horrible. And even now, like with the Invisible Man 2020 film, which is in no way linked to a new universe, was still bringing hope in the future for new isolated horror films with the Universal icons. And that didn't end up happening either. Well, at least as of now. And probably not even because of COVID. So many movies had still been finished, IP-based ones too, despite the pandemic. So I really don't see what the holdup is at this point. I don't know, maybe it has to, strangely has to do with the case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, because Johnny Depp was supposed to play the Invisible Man in the Dark Universe, as well as this new horror remake, whatever not really remake, isolated story, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know, they're just not doing anything new. I mean, they say they're doing new stuff, but they keep announcing all these new projects in development. They greenlight a lot of them. But I don't know, I haven't seen one get released. And this is Blumhouse, Universal we're talking about. You know, they pump out horror movies on the cheap in like under 8 months, like come on. So obviously there's no reason why. And it started with Van Helsing. It totally started with Van Helsing. And the movie itself, it's stupid. Like, they have a lot of weird costume choices. It doesn't really seem to be consecutive with like one universe or timeline. Dracula's kind of dumb. I mean, they have the Frankenstein monster in there, and he looks just as stupid as everyone else. And there's a really horrible Jekyll and Hyde at the beginning of the film. Just, no. Hugh Jackman is pretty flat as Van Helsing as well. It's just like, hey, you know, Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman. That's really it. I don't know. It wasn't that great. I haven't seen it in years, though, so I might have had to watch the film again to properly convey my opinions. Yeah, we're never gonna know, so oh well. Number 2, Orphan. Now, this is where we're really gonna get to the ones that I was so determined to make videos out of these. But this is because of my departure. At least, like, Orphan. That was because of my departure. This is a horror film released in 2009, also based on real life case studies of, you know, sort of. I'm not even gonna say what case studies they're based off of. That's like a big twist in the movie. You got to check it out yourself. I'm not gonna spoil this stuff. I'm gonna give you guys homework assignments to watch these movies because, yeah, you need to watch more movies. Anyway. Orphan, it was a horror film released, I'd say, like at the tail end of the era of the creepy girl horror trends and kind of the egregious horror films. At that point, they were just plain bad. They like borderline comedy and horror. It was just so horrible. Like, you know, Paranormal Activity came out around the same time, too. And the first one was definitely more comedy, in my opinion. Like, it was definitely more of a funny movie than it was scary. And that's kind of the whole point. But then they just decided to try to be scary, and it was stupid. It got really stupid. But Orphan was, like, around the tail end of that, segueing into the 2010s, where jump scares became the big thing and plagued horror since. But Orphan, it's not even like an adolescent period between those two. This one is actually completely its own thing and works in itself because this is how modern horror should be done, in my opinion. There's atmosphere, there's very intriguing characters, there's a lot of tension and build up and a lot of confusing perspectives, and so many people just don't know how to feel. Do you hate them? Do you love them? Like, who are you rooting for? And everything, like, adds up to the conclusion where you really just get to see just how conniving, like, the main character, like, the main villain, Esther, who is the titular orphan, is, and the other lead, the heroine, who is, like, the mother of, like, the family, who's already been through a lot. She already went through, like, a miscarriage, so obviously she's just a little bit on edge already, so yeah, it's a lot of good stuff, and I really wanted to make a video just to really just dissect why exactly this is. I believe that should be the standard for modern horror, because it really seemed, because especially given it was released in 2009, it really should have set a new standard for what modern horror could and should be, but unfortunately, that just never happened. I'd say the same thing for Black Swan, which came out in 2010 and actually got a lot of Oscar recognition, which is very unusual for a horror film. So it was like both those movies. Ironically enough, they both scare the hell out of me. Like, I'm actually scared watching those films. So, yeah, good on them for being the only scary movies that actually made me genuinely horrified. So yeah, and I was also gonna possibly put Black Swan in this list, but I feel like Orphan really seemed to capture like more of that bittersweet moving on of like not being able to do this kind of video for Halloween. But oh well, I guess we can always dream of what that could have been like, all one person, aka me. Okay, we're on to number one. Now this is one. Now this I was so pissed off that I wasn't able to do this. Raw. Now, once again, you're probably wondering, what is this? Well, it's a very intense independent horror film released in 2016 or 2017, 2015, depending on where you live. Or also depending on where you live. It's called Grave. I don't know why it's called Grave, but oh well. But Raw, it is about a vegetarian college freshman who is trying to figure herself out, trying to learn the wonders of adulthood, independence, that free will, that kind of thing. But in doing so, uncovers some devastating genetics that cause her to have a hankering for human flesh. And, you know, the movie's conflicts sort of arise from choosing a path of devastating actions and behaviors, or just being a sane individual that can hold back. It's a very classic storyline with a very messed up twist. And in doing that, it's such a wonderful watch for me. And when I saw it for the first time last year, I think in April of 2021, I seeing it last year, April 2021, I could never stop thinking about this movie. And for October of last year, Raw was actually on the top contender to be a video, actually. But I was definitely worried about actually trying to find footage initially, so I replaced it with the prom night video, which, you know, yeah, that did well. No, it didn't. But I decided to hold it off for this year, which eventually I decided against Raw, primarily for content. If you've seen the film, or even just from me describing it, you'll know this is not for the faint of heart. And those are only vague descriptions. Like, some of the scenes are just so elaborately dark and gory. I really don't think a lot of our viewers, who are mostly children, but also kids at heart, that are so accustomed to stuff like Sesame Street, that I really don't think, you know, talking about something like this would really be appropriate. And honestly, that's primarily why I decided against it. And Trevor felt the same way too. He had that gut feeling of like, yeah, this is a little extreme for a video. Even if I did do like censorship, and it's still like just the descriptions, like, like a scene where, okay, I'll just say someone gets their finger cut off with just common scissors, in like that kind of stuff, and then the finger gets eaten. That's the kind of thing that I would have had to talk about. I would have had to. I couldn't just go without bringing it up, you know? So if I had to bring that up and just unnerve so many people, that would devastate me, especially because I love the movie. I really think it's a wonderful watch. And I don't want to scare people away thinking like this is just one of those, like, just shock for shock exploitation, because it really isn't shock for shock exploitation. It is a legitimate art piece that I feel like definitely deserves, you know, a lot of the attention that it got. At least, you know, the positive attention. It obviously garnered intense controversy for its visuals, but, you know, I guess it's to be expected for movies like this. And I wanted to do it justice because, again, I am such a big fan of this film and these sort of underappreciated approach of these sort of flesh-eating films without having to do zombie tropes or rip off Hannibal Lecter with just simply having, people being eaten or, people devolving into like these just monsters, just mindlessly killing people. It is, human psychology, just basic, that, most people have conscious decisions. They can do those and decide on where they want to go in life and how they want to do things and their actions and such. And this movie is one of those that definitely portrays that. Not necessarily realistically, I can't testify because I don't know anybody who devolved like this. Unless maybe you do, then you can probably add to the conversation. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for Raw. And those are all the Media Mementos videos that I had in the slate that you're never going to see. Let me know if you really wanted to see some of these. I know plenty of you would want to have seen like at least the first 4. But if some of you wanted to actually see the last 6, please let me know. Because I honestly really would like to know if people would have actually wanted to see some of the live action movie discussions. Because honestly, I love talking about like animated stuff, cartoons, but live action just still appeals to me like on a very big personal level, especially because I do consider film to be a very communicative medium. And as a kid, I always gravitated a lot with, movies with like, real humans in them, because I could actually kind of feel something. I can actually connect with them on a personal level. I know people have a hard time with like human emotions and expressions, but I feel the raw emotion and, again, relatability with real humans. It helps me with communication and empathy as well. So, yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about all of these live action films, especially stuff like Mockingbird Don't Sing or Orphan or Raw, because I really felt like I was making a connection watching those films. Unlike, say, watching The Ant Bully, it hits very differently, or even stuff like, TMNT or Ice Age, movies I've sung the praises of. And it does kind of break my heart, though, now that I'm going to be leaving, that I won't really be able to properly discuss these particular live action works or really branch out to really become someone that could more freely talk about this stuff. But yeah, no, time has to end, and I've been getting more and more connections and opportunities for work, and I simply just can't do this anymore if I want to go and reach for the stars. Nothing against you guys, nothing against anybody. It's simply just a calling to go out and reach for that dream and go on more film sets, make more connections, network, and yeah. So, this isn't going to be the last time I'll be signing off. I will have more videos, proper videos, come November and December. Have a good night.